Our worldview is the lens through which we see the world and the filter through which we understand the world. Everyone has a worldview that they operate from. Everyone has an answer to all the issues of life. The question is, where do these answers come from? That is our worldview, and this is an audio commentary on the contemporary from a biblical worldview. Article, Post-Christian Reveals Its True Self. There has been a lot said in the last decade about America now being a post-Christian nation. A lot of characteristics that dig into this post prefix is that we are a nation that, in the majority, has left Christianity. Post meaning that we are living in a nation that no longer identifies itself, generally speaking, as Christian. We are now after Christian, like Christianity has left the building and we now exist without it, and while something else has taken its place in the majority. This is after a long period of time when most of America had identified themselves as Christian. So what does this move mean for our society? This means that more and more people have little to no understanding of Christian beliefs. So that especially means that many of those beliefs don't affect their lives, the lives of many Americans, professing Christians. The result of this is that the home environment growing up for kids does not involve Christian beliefs. Schooling has a decrease of Christian influence. The way of life is more quote-unquote secularized without God and an acknowledgement of God. Entertainment embraces that worldview where Christian beliefs are not present more and more, and the institutions all over America follow suit with all of this. To many people, even professing Christians, this hasn't been that big of a deal. But let's think about this label, post-Christian. What does that label mean in reality? Because there is no neutrality when it comes to the human's relationship with God and their beliefs regarding Him and His truth, which then affect life. And that automatically translates into society and directly affects that society. This post-label gives off an impression of neutrality where much of the nation has just put Christianity to the side as the one of many viable options for life that are okay. And so now they're going with something else. In many cases, this going with something else happens while still trying to hold on to Christianity. This definitely is connected to our problem of syncretistic tendencies, where Christianity is combined with other beliefs. Make no mistake of it, though, we are either for God or against God, and we only have one master. And that needs to be, biblically speaking, according to the belief of God's truth. So in reality, a post-Christian society is actually an anti-Christian society. We have just called it post-Christian because we've given in to its sneaky little deception. The reality of that statement, that a post-Christian society is actually anti-Christian society, can be realized in a time like ours because we are now seeing a more blatant fallout of this where an anti-Christian society is more noticeable. This is really because there is no such thing as a post-Christian society. As soon as our nation became characterized as post-Christian, it, in reality, became an anti-Christian nation. But now, as things have progressed very quickly, it is more clearly seen that there is a growing hostility toward biblical Christianity, true Christianity. But again, the truth is, that's already been here for some time. It just needed various issues to unearth it more. When a post-Christian society progresses, it reveals who it has always been, an anti-Christian society. Then she laughs because those who have given in to the false neutrality that seems to be in the post-Christian society, they wake up from their delusion and complacency and wonder what happened. "Ha! I've been here for a while," she replies. In a post-Christian society that really has just left Christianity for something else, and as it does so increasingly, then when I make a statement like this, the eyes of Jesus see everyone and no one is hidden from His sight, then that really doesn't do anything to people. The post-Christian person really doesn't care about that statement. They just move on, leave it alone, and go on to whatever their focus is. They don't bat an eye to that truth because they're living a life without God and they think that they are in some neutral space. And it's not that they necessarily have an outward animosity toward that statement. They really just don't care or give it a second thought, really. Again, let us remember that there is no neutrality, though. Fueling this more has been the tutor for the post-Christian era, which was post-modernism, where truth, morality, justice, and other facets of life are all subjective. They are all determined by you because you are the ultimate authority. There is no objective standard for truth, morality, or justice, or the like. That is the hotbed for this idea of neutrality, which really doesn't exist, but is seen as whatever, you do you. When this infiltrates the church, it is a breeding ground for complacency and syncretism, a blending of beliefs. So the post-Christian society then is quite indifferent to Christian truth, even when it professes to be Christian, which is all too common. But let us remember who post-Christian really is. When we get into a more overt anti-Christian society, which is really what post-Christian is as it reveals its true colors and becomes more confident, then a statement like, the eyes of Jesus sees everyone, no one is hidden from his sight, is actually offensive. There is actually an outward animosity, resistance, and pushback against such a statement. But regardless of the society we face, statements of truth like this must be said. In not noticing the true colors of post-Christian, we've fallen asleep. We, meaning the church. While asleep, the attack has increased and the church hasn't been ready for it. We need to wake up and engage in offense. This means that we must not think there is any neutrality between God and man. We are either with God or against God, and that is determined according to what God has said. Also, this means that we cannot afford to be complacent or to compromise. Complacency and retreating from the front lines, which is not where God's people are supposed to go. Complacency in watching this happen is losing our first love, and compromise in giving in to the blending of the Christian and the anti-Christian in both belief and behavior. When these things happen, when all this happens, shouldn't we learn from how God dealt with Israel? Let's wake up, huh?